Broadcasting live from the Loading Ready Run orbiting underground moon base, it's the LRRcast. This puts me in mind of a three-ring circus.
Nice.
That was the best I ever could have. I'm never going to come on one of these podcasts again. I've reached my apex. I ain't going to get better from here.
I don't believe you. Welcome, everyone, to the Loading Ready Run podcast. I am Graham.
I am Paul.
And I am your musical guest for tonight, Kathleen.
James can't be with us today, but that's okay.
Quitter!
That's okay because he sucks.
Because he's a quitter.
Yeah.
Next time you see James, tell him, "You filthy quitter, how could you? You've disappointed us." I love that.
He has to edit this.
Ha ha!
It'll be next time you see James, tell him he is a nice man.
Yeah.
So we're going to do just a quick little LRRcast this week, just talking about a couple videos and then taking your questions. And the first video we're going to talk about actually is the Stuck Up, which we should actually have had Bijan to talk about this now that I think about it. But he works today.
Perhaps we can get him to record something to stick in.
Maybe we'll just have him on next time.
That would be a thing we could do too.
Yeah.
Well, we won't talk about the writing of this because he wrote it, but let's talk about the filming of it.
This was, we filmed this out at UVic in area you may have seen before in previous videos. This is, of course, typical for us. We wanted to shoot it in the dark because it was like a stick up. And so we waited until it was starting to get light more often and starting to get towards summer, which is how we typically do things in Loading Ready Run. And so we had to wait around for quite a while for it to get dark for us to actually shoot this. But I was very happy with how it turned out. I think it was good.
Yeah. I was really pleased with how it looks as well. We were trying to find a place that had light, and the lighting actually worked out really, really well. I think it looked good, and it was also super windy.
Oh my God, so windy!
But we went to a place called a breezeway,
and it was actually really sheltered.
It was actually incredibly sheltered.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I was a little worried. I was like, why are we going to somewhere called a breezeway? But I thought it might have good lighting, and it did. So
yeah,
and it had like a nice little like a pillar for Beach to jump out from behind.
Part 2 of LRR's crime triptych.
Unintentional,
by the
way.
Unintentional crime triptych.
But this is basically Paul and I acting like the worst people. The worst.
I like that. I think some of the comments talking about like these are like some of the worst characters we've done, like least likable characters we've done. Like considering that these are the people who are being robbed.
Yeah.
Like that somehow the robber actually comes across as quite sympathetic.
Yeah, I find that very funny. I also like. I don't think a couple people clued in as to why the ending was as horribly cliched as it was, because it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
it was
like,
super cliched because that's what the whole video is about.
Yeah, the whole video, like it's a wonderful like twist that the whole framing really of the video and the whole sort of overarching plot is like bumbling guy nurtured and helped along and by two sort of mentor figures. And then who goes on to success is like a hugely cliched storyline.
In Beach's original script, he was like, like they do like a walking off into the sunset shot. The music swells.
Yeah.
Can we have curtains closing?
Yeah.
And we're like really sell this.
Yeah.
I like that. Although a lot of people's responses to this were like, "Oh, credits, how cliche."
Yeah.
Like people were getting into the it's like, "Oh, just telling us the names of everybody who is in it."
I liked that.
That's been done before.
Yeah.
And of course the lady that Graham is walking down the breezeway with in the Stinger is our friend Maya, who was booming the video. And that
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had to put out like a
last minute boom call.
Yeah, we had to put out a late night call being like, "Who's free now?"
Yeah. And I mean, we could have done it with the four of us, but it
would have been very stressful, very awkward.
But
especially since there's a lot of dynamic stuff in this.
Yeah, it was having a separate boom person allowed us to do like dynamic moves. But
we wouldn't have been able to do any shoulder shots.
yeah, but I think just from a purely silly point of view, I can't think of anybody that is funnier to be your girlfriend, considering Maya is like she's tiny.
She's a very short person, yeah.
She's like 5'2", I think.
I think so. Speaking of those sort of shoulder shots, from a shooting standpoint, I was personally very, very pleased with the shot where it moves from one over-the-shoulder setup to another, where when Beige takes you hostage, it's the shoulder shot of you and Paul. And then I turn 90 degrees as Beige grabs you and moves, and then it ends with a different shoulder shot.
Yeah.
But still without crossing the stage line. I just thought it was neat.
Yeah, no, you did a really good job of shooting that. It came together really smoothly in the editing, which was nice.
Oh, good.
The video's like fairly self-apparent, but my favorite part was when I'm like pushing Beige's robber character over to Paul's character, and I'm like, no, take him hostage instead. We were like, gonna do the scene and like figure out the blocking. And then I was like, actually, no, Beige, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to wing it, and then you can be as surprised as you should be, and I'll just shove you. And he's like, okay. And I think he looks like, what the hell is going on in the final shot. Really well. So that was a one-take job, which normally we don't do, but I think it was okay.
Yeah, Beige did an excellent job of emoting while wearing a ski mask, which is not easy.
No, it is really difficult. He was originally going to take that off halfway through.
Yeah, he was originally going to take it off.
But it was cold.
It was also really cold, yeah.
Smart.
That's why I'm wearing a pair of yellow pants and a mustard-colored cardigan, because I had just bought that cardigan that day at Value Village. But the thing is, the cardigan I originally wore is what I'm actually wearing if you're watching this podcast, which is very nice but very thin. It's like a summer cardigan, and I knew we were going to be filming outside for a extended period of time. So I was like, I don't even care if this doesn't go under my jacket. I don't care if it clashes with my pants. I'm not freezing for an hour outside.
Yeah.
And it was at least, I don't know, we were actually very efficient filming that video. I nicknamed Paul and I the Nailed It Twins because we were just like firing through our lines. But we were still outside for at least an hour and a half, probably.
Yeah.
Also, we went through a series. We didn't have the script printed out. And so we went through, and for some reason, because it was late, like everybody's phone was at like 5% at that point. And so I was reading the script off my phone, and then it died. And then it's like, all right, who's got a phone?
And
all right,
my phone and my phone
switched to
died.
a different phone, and then that one died. And so we went through like 3 phones throughout the course of the shooting, just reading the script.
Luckily, I still had it up on my iPad, but that was like also low on battery. And I was like, come on.
Beige had left his phone in the car, and so his wife Heather texted me being like, is Beige with you? And I responded, yup, and then my phone died. So I'm like, yup. That's all you're hearing out of us.
Yeah. Look good that you didn't have a longer message, or else it wouldn't have even done that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we've got there's some loading times for other videos that apparently we haven't actually put up yet.
But we will, so we're not going to talk about those.
So we'll go into some Askler, which we have just put out a call for on our Twitter. Sam asks, do you guys watch any esports? I sure do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I watch it. So this is not strictly esports, but I watch a lot of people streaming Magic. And the reason I say it's not necessarily esports is because you're just watching them playing their game. I mean, technically they are competing with other people, but it's not in a sort of like an official kind of scenario.
Although when they do online tournaments,
that's
and
true. Actually,
stream them. I also watch those.
I definitely watch when they do like the pro tours and stuff, but those aren't esports because those are paper Magic.
But they do occasionally, like when the mocks and stuff.
No, that's true. That's true. I guess if I'm watching Kenji play in like a daily event, I guess that's sort of getting there. But I've also become a big fan of watching professional level StarCraft. I've been watching a lot of the GSL, which is the Global StarCraft League, and the GSTL, which is the Global StarCraft Team League, because they do every night starting at around. They start at around 2 a.m. our time.
Prime time programming for you.
It's prime time for me, yeah. So it's when I'm doing like really late night editing, I'll be like, "What time is it? Oh, hey, cool, sweet, the GSL's about to start." So
the sort of heavy workload we've been under recently has caused Graham to go back to his natural sleep cycle.
that of a troglodyte?
Yeah, no, that of a bat, right? Yeah. You are a completely nocturnal creature. Like, it's like 19 degrees outside today in Victoria. It's so nice. And I'm like, it's so nice out. And Paul's like, it's really nice. And Graham's like, no.
I'm not super stoked about it being this hot.
It's
either.
really warm
You
today.
said it was nice.
I said it's nice, as in nice weather, but it's hot.
Yeah.
Well,
With the I've been really enjoying the watching the GSL. Some really really good stuff, and like I will occasionally watch StarCraft streamers, just like people doing their own streams of them playing, as long as they're nice and not a dick, which is sadly not as easy to find as you might think. But I've been watching a lot of his username is Dim Muslim, because he likes Muhammad Ali, was where he got that name from originally, and he's actually a really nice guy, and he talks through his play, and he watches the replays afterwards and actually like describes what's going on, and it's really really nice, and he's not a cock like some other people. But I prefer watching the situations like the GSL where there's actually commentators and you're getting to see the whole
and they're
game.
sort of explaining.
Yeah, not only are they explaining it, but they can see both sides of the map, right? And so they're doing a good job of explaining.
It's more exciting.
So, yeah, I enjoy watching that a lot.
Next,
favorite Cards Against Humanity story. Jeez,
I don't know. There's a lot of them that can't really be told.
I broke Ashley once.
Yeah, there's that one where Ashley was laughing so hard and for so long that it actually became a little. It's like, gee, are you okay?
like she was like, no.
He was like, I feel kind of like we should do something now.
It was it was in a world ravaged by blank. The only solution is blank, and my submission was in a world ravaged by teen pregnancy. The only solution is take backsies.
Right.
And it was just the right time of night that struck her, and just
Uncontrollable laughter.
that was fun. Yeah, I think a lot of Cards Against Humanity.
They're not so funny to just be like, oh, I played these 2 cards and they were super offensive.
Yeah, sometimes
They're, like,
when you
more
see
funny in
people,
the situation.
yeah, when like I'll sometimes see people tweeting like, look at this great one, and you're like, okay, sure, I can see how that would happen. I mean, those are both cards that exist in the game, but when you're playing it, then it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about the
Cards Against
context.
Humanity is a game better played than discussed, I think.
If you were to
When actually at the Calgary, a guy came by with a bunch of blank Cards Against Humanity cards.
Oh yeah,
and got us to fill some out.
yeah, I did some of those at PAX.
Yeah, so who knows? Some weird stuff might show up.
If you were to put the characters from Commodore Hustle into a D&D game, which we kind of have done actually a couple times, what would be their classes and alignments? I mean, the characters in Commodore Hustle are inspired by us, so it'd probably be similar to what we are playing. Well, let's just talk about what we're actually playing in Jared's D&D game right now.
All right. Well, in Jared's D&D game, I am playing an elven wizard.
Yeah.
I know, like, super cool.
It's a just for background, because I know that D&D fans will want to know this. It is a D&D Next playtest of the Temple of Elemental Evil.
So we sort of had like some sort of pre-gen character classes assigned. So our characters are perhaps a little generic, but we're playtesting the thing, so it makes sense.
Your class might be generic, but your character sure as hell isn't.
No, but my character is an elven wizard named Pell, and he is insane, but in a delightful way. Like, he's been going around the Temple of Elemental Evil, smearing unguent on his other party members because it makes them smell bad and it's funny. He has collected 3 goblins, which he has trained to worship him as a god.
Well, there were 4.
Or four. I named them after monarchs, English monarchs, Victoria, Albert, George, and Elizabeth, and fittingly, Albert died first. But the other 3 have held on for like several games. Those goblins are not dying, and primarily, I think, because Jer and I have so much fun making goblin noises, because they go.
Also, they don't actually participate in combat or anything.
No, they only show up in like in cutscenes.
And we've managed
usually tormenting Brotor.
We've managed to stop our bugbear henchmen from eating them.
Good.
Yeah.
I would be cross.
Our bugbears, by the way, God, let's see if I can remember the names. Desmond, Granville, Bob, Thweeb.
And Thwob.
Thweeb and Thwob.
Those are mine.
Bartholomew and Ergathurb.
Many of them are dead at this point.
A lot of them are dead. We had to go get more.
All right, but anyhow, and so in in our D&D game, I classify Pell as chaotic good because for the most part he's not a bad person. Although he's threatened several times. If everything goes tits up or he gets mad, he is going to read from the book that he has dubbed Your Granite Friend Who's Fun to Be With, which is How to Summon Earth Elementals.
Our friend Jess, who's also in the campaign, figures that you're actually playing him more sort of chaotic neutral.
Overall, he's good though. He's smug and arrogant, but usually right. And then when I got up to level 5, I was like, which spell should I take? And Jerry's like, well, if there's Fireball, which is traditionally very powerful, but it's a little like, it's just like a fire in a big area. But Lightning Bolt is like a more directed blast. I'm like, I will take Fireball. And Jerry's like, I think Lightning Bolt might be more useful. It's like, I will take Fireball. It's like, can I make things go in flames a lot?
I'm playing a human cleric named Steven. I had never played a cleric before. I'd always played fighters, and I typically do in RPGs just because I like running up and punching things because it's easier. But I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll be a healer. We don't have one. I will heal things, and I'm enjoying it. I wish I healed more and better, but that's always the case. I do like my Lance of Faith attack, though, which is now a saving throw. I no longer have to roll to hit. I just go, I lance you, and they have to save against my spell DC.
Because
and my spell DC is, they have to make a dex save against my spell DC, which is 17.
That's good.
Yeah, it's nice. And Paul?
I am a dwarf named Brotor. Fighter, gone through all sorts of different iterations as the D&D Next stuff has progressed. But at the moment, he has a large flaming sword and a shield. And yes, he is quite deadly when he attacks.
Oh yeah, Brotor is awesome.
Brotor's general thing is he's fairly slow, so he almost, not necessarily because of his stats, but just how I roll, he tends to almost always end up going like very low or last in initiative. And so his philosophy is he does not go first, but he goes last. And last as in nobody does anything after him because everybody's dead.
You know what, Paul, though? I just learned haste. So I can cast so we can have Pell cast that on you.
We had a giant combat briefly before we get back to Askler. We had a giant combat the other day, and where there was a bunch of different things. There was 2 bugbears, a bugbear chieftain, a warg, 4 ogres, and a giant. And our strategy in big group fights is work up, because even the little guys can output plenty of damage. So we try to work up. So we killed the 2 bugbears, and then we killed the chieftain, and then we killed the warg in like one hit. It was pretty crazy. And then we, mowed our way through the ogres. And then Paul finally killed one of the ogres. I was like, all right, good. Like the very last ogre. Or the last ogre fell, and then it was Paul's turn. He's like, okay, now hill giant, and rolled to attack, critical, max damage, just cut the thing in half, just one hit. And Jared was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Although the question was about our Commodore Hustle characters.
Oh.
And I know in the latest edition of D&D Next, they've added the gnomish tinkerer as a class.
There you go.
Or no, as a race, which you can make like little toys and little objects and stuff. So obviously that would be Commodore Hustle Paul's class, I think.
Yeah, Commodore Hustle.
That's true. Commodore Hustle Graham probably wouldn't be the cleric.
And and Commodore Hustle Paul would definitely be some form of chaotic, possibly chaotic neutral.
Probably chaotic good. I think Commodore Hustle Paul is always trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't turn out well.
I don't know if any of our Commodore Hustle characters are really in the good spectrum.
No.
I think some of them are. Like, I think definitely Paul's is, and I think Cam's is, even though he spends too much time hanging out with my Commodore Hustle character, who's just the worst person. Like, I really got to change that because, like, I feel it actually reflects negatively on me, and that like people might actually think I'm some sort of like
no, it doesn't.
Horrible person.
No, it doesn't.
But I just love writing bad people.
No more than people actually think that we'll hate Matt.
Yeah.
I think we're probably all kind of in the chaotic neutral area.
Yeah,
oh,
so.
absolutely. Commodore Hustle Kathleen is probably chaotic evil.
No, you don't know. You don't know what chaotic evil means.
Okay.
You're not actively
neutral
trying.
Evil?
You're not actively trying to hurt people. You're just
No.
out for your own.
Well, it's lawful,
If
chaotic, and what's the other one?
If your Commodore Hustle character were chaotic evil, you would have killed the rest of us and be wearing our skin as a cloak.
Okay, but it's definitely evil.
No, it's not. You're not evil. All right.
All right.
Dear Doctors, Loading Ready Run. Who was the most responsible for the thinking up and creating of challenges for Strip Search, Loading Ready Run, or Penny Arcade, or both?
It was both.
It was both.
Yeah, we had basically like a big powwow where Graham and Kathleen and James and I
And Robert and Josh.
Yeah, and that's where we came up with sort of about 2/3 of the ideas, I think.
Yeah, and like sort of show structure and the social event is a prize, and then the competitive event gets you the immunity and decision thing and all that. And so
And then we sort of filled in the gaps with one sort of working out how many people would be required for each, because that's the big consideration, right? Is that how many people will be left and how many people can do that particular thing.
Dear Doctor, or Dear Askler, this is a question from Zero. Have you ever had to scrap a video after you've already started filming it? I can think of one. Kind of. This was years ago. This was probably still would have been our first season or maybe just into our second season. And this is, we were trying to think of what we were going to do for Halloween, for like a Halloween special. And we were like, I think it was just, because it was just a bunch of us hanging out. Bill was there. I remember Connor being there. And Morgan, and I can't remember if you were there or not. I think we were using. I think we were using your dad's camera because it had night vision. It was like the digital 8 with like night vision on it, and we sort of came to this idea of like a some sort of like Blair Witchy but not kind of thing in the woods and monsters appeared or something. And the thing is, we didn't actually have a plan. Like we were sort of like, oh, let's do a video like that. Yeah, okay, let's go shoot it. Like we didn't script it or anything.
It was just with the idea that like we'll futz around for a while and then do something in editing.
Yeah, basically. And then we went out to like Uplands Park. We went to like a park after dark, and we had the thing, and then there was like, all right, now do like this, and like, okay, now I'm doing this now, and I'm like, all right, now I don't know, I guess do that, and then like after about 15-20 minutes, we were like, we don't have anything, do we? We have no idea what we're doing. No, okay, let's just stop this. But I don't think
this is embarrassing everybody.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever done that again. I can't think of another instance.
I mean, there's things where we've shot like a bit for a video, and then we haven't been able to get the rest of the video done for a really long time.
Yeah.
And so I think that there may be a case where we fully intended to shoot a video and we shot one bit for it and then just have not gone back to it.
Yep.
I can't think of any offhand.
I can think of two, one that we successfully did then shoot and one that we haven't. So I obviously won't talk about the one that we haven't. But the one that we did is the beginning of Commodore Hustle episode 6, I want to say. The one that starts with like the Power Rangers thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then it cuts back to us at a convention and Paul going, and that's how we make a Loading Ready Run video.
Right.
So originally you'd written that as its own video.
Right.
Right. And we had shot two parts of it. We, at the previous year's same anime convention, we had shot that part of you going, and that's how we make a video. And then everyone in the audience being like, what? And then the rest, or like, are there any other questions? And then everyone puts up their hand and we put up their hand, and Jared's like, why am I the bad guy? We shot that whole section the previous year at the same anime convention, intending to then do that video. And if you remember, Kathleen is the big floating head in the sky in that episode. And we had already shot her big floating head bits as well.
Right.
On the green screen in Moonbase 1 with like a green sheet around her.
I'm so amazed we didn't lose
her
that
neck.
footage.
And no, we did.
Oh, right.
We had to reshoot it, but we definitely shot your lines with the floating head and never found that footage again.
And then we reshot everything.
Once we adapted it into the pre-title of an episode of Commodore Hustle, then we just reshot the whole thing.
There's also, of course, there's Tube Men Enter, which
God.
we never finished. It's summer again now. Maybe we'll finish it.
Tim lives in Edmonton now.
And we're
we'll
busy.
find some way.
All right.
Next question.
Okay. What's the card that you still own that you
neither Tim nor Matt is here now?
Yeah, that you most regret playing unsleeved in your youth? Soul Ring here. I never had good cards when I was a youth, so
I did have a Soul Ring,
oh.
but
Probably one of the Elder Dragons. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The big thing actually, I did notice that when I like looked through my cards recently, the cards I had in my youth, the cards that I had in like heavy duty plastic sleeves were largely worthless, and the cards that I was just had in my decks, generally were much better. Like I had, I had a Wasteland that I didn't really know was a big card, and so it was just sort of around. It was just sort of in my deck. I mean, it wasn't like damaged or anything, but it's just
You could have been treating it a lot better.
I was protecting the wrong cards because there were cards that were valuable at the time, but then since were revealed to be shitty.
It took me a sec to sort of figure out what this question was. This question from Carson. He says, a question of hair. Safety, electric, straight, or nothing?
Different razors.
Yes, it took me a moment, though. I use an electric razor.
I mostly use an electric razor, although sometimes I use a safety razor. But my skin, now that I've used an electric razor for too long, if I use a safety razor, it tends to be a little bit harsh on my skin. So someday I want to get like an actual
safety razor, I assume.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someday I want to actually get like not a straight razor, but like I guess a safety razor, not the old style safety razor. Those are super sweet.
James Patton asks, I ask that you produce one final episode of Das Failhouse to give it the finale it deserved. I don't want to say that
Das
So some-
Failhouse
that
is
Das
done.
Failhouse will never happen again.
Somebody actually asked that at the panel at Calgary,
Oh yeah.
and we were like, we'd have to like go find the people who live in that apartment now and like go back to that apartment.
No, Failhouse, because Failhouse started in the apartment I lived with Matt, but I kept doing it after I moved to a couple different places. So Failhouse is not tied down to one location. If you could get a major television news anchor to appear on either Checkpoint or Action 9 in a sketch, who would you pick?
Probably the Silver Fox himself.
Anderson Cooper?
Oh yeah, to give
He's pretty cool.
gravitas.
I think there's a range of like feasibility versus like wide stream recognition.
Well,
So
I'd
like
say
I'd
say the Coops is at the far end of that.
I actually think Brian Williams, NBC's Brian Williams, is at the far end of, because he's also really funny.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
he'd be at the far end of like
'Cause
recognition.
he's been
and-
on 30 Rock.
yeah,
too,
recognition and infeasibility. On the other end, Hudson Mack,
Yeah. Local news
lo-
anchor.
local news anchor Hudson Mack. Beyond that,
Nobody would care though. It's the
yeah,
problem.
exactly. I'd care, damn it. Beyond that, I think probably the most sense for us as Canadians would be Peter Mansbridge, who's like, he's our national anchor, right?
Right,
Like
right.
he hosts The National every night, so probably Peter Mansbridge would make the most sense.
There's one of the more weird things that happened during one of the desert buses is somebody asked me to read out fanfic of My Little Pony crossed with Rachel Maddow. And so it was like her as a pony. It wasn't like erotic or anything. It was just her investigating the pony world, but she was a pony.
That's weird.
That's really weird.
Having like Rachel Maddow actually there reading it out, I think would be pretty awesome.
Wow, yeah.
All right, and then maybe like last question, second to last question.
Second to last question. Mark asks, Paul, why not have an eye patch and a monocle instead of wear your glasses over an eye patch?
Because I don't have a monocle.
I mean, I think it's a fair question, but a fair question with a very easy answer.
And then you'd have to be like, you have to like squint with the like you have to hold the monocle on your.
Well, it's moot now anyhow.
Well, there's ways
Yeah.
to get monocles to actually stay, but also you'd have to get a prescription monocle.
Yeah,
God, it's so expensive.
there's a whole lot of reasons why that doesn't work.
Yeah. And last question from Anthony. Excluding Daily Drop, have you ever done more videos in 1 week than you did this week? If not, how does it feel?
Wait, how many videos did we put out this week? A lot.
The last 2 weeks, or 2 or 3 weeks in particular, have been very heavy, just because of.
Jesus. Wait. No, we didn't do an Academy video this week. But this week we did Loading Ready Run, Unskippable, Checkpoint, Feed Dump, Loading Time, Strip Search, another Strip Search, now that I think about it, and Daily Drop. Or not Daily Drop. Friday nights.
Yeah.
That's 8.
And then there's.
No wonder we're tired.
And Friday nights is 10 minutes long.
And there's some weeks when we do 3 podcasts on top of that,
Yeah.
which if you count those is up.
I think it says right on our TV tropes page. It's like the level of their output is truly staggering.
I'll take it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, okay, here's the internet business model: is you don't get a lot of money for content, so you have to put out lots of content to make any money. So we have to work really hard to do things like eat and pay rent on the moon base.
Loading Ready Run, quantity if not quality. That's our watchword.
I feel like I feel like our quality is pretty
Our
good.
quality is excellent.
I would hope so.
Like this, like those two, like I think it's like the best episode of Strip Search we've done yet was the elimination number 6. We went up. No spoilers if you haven't watched yet. If you haven't, please go watch it. Super good.
I mean, it would help if you were invested in the show, so you probably want to go start from the beginning. But I highly recommend you watch it.
But yeah, and the Friday Nights is really, really funny.
I think Friday Nights is really funny. I think it turned out really well. So anyway,
All right.
yeah, I guess we're all gonna go pass out from exhaustion then.
I'm
Given
looking forward to a
that.
relaxing weekend.
Bye.
All right, bye everyone. We'll talk to you next time.